Hi guys, just making sure I'm live here. Oh, super excited to be here. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes for maybe people to get a notification that I'm on live or whatever. But we're gonna be talking today about the Maiden Goddess energies or the Maiden Goddess Archetype energies. I didn't want to make it like a tongue twister when I posted the announcement about or the headline for the live stream. So welcome, say hello when you're here. Hi Teal. Hi, I see you. Hope you're watching. Hello. Mandy's watching. Hi girl. So let's just collectively start breathing together for a moment. Like I said, I want to give people few moments to join and pop on. This isn't going to be super long because my babysitter will be here soon, and then my husband and I are going out to dinner. So he's herding the kids right now, hopefully in a place that's further from this room than closer. If you saw my live stream on my Facebook page earlier, it was like, we had the typical baby toddler barge in. So I'll tell you a little bit more about my background with all of this. I definitely started noticing that I would menstruate on either the full moon or the new moon at various times of my life. And I've noticed this for a while before I even started really paying attention to the moon. Maybe not super long, like a year or so before. So about 2016, I probably started noticing right about then that I was like, okay, every time it's a full moon, crazy energy, really intense, and I'm having my period, and so that was an interesting time of not really understanding why I was coinciding and what that meant with regards to, the solar system. And then I started really learning about the cycles of the moon, full moon, new moon. Now I'm taking into there's like 8 different cycles of the moon apparently. So it's actually expanding my own knowledge when I say, do you sync up with the moon? And we all do. Like, as you can see, I posted a few days ago like kind of the moon event schedule. That's why I have this cool calendar behind me. Helps me to have all those dates like lined out. And so you can kind of see that you're syncing at some point. It's just what phase the moon is in that moment. And the moon goddess also has these 4 phases, these 4 feminine archetypes as well. So it's kind of fun that we're learning about the Maiden Goddess right now when the moon is definitely it's like well into the execution phase of the Maiden energies, because that begins at the slightest crescent after the new moon, when we're in it like a waxing phase, so a growth phase, and that's when the Maiden energies begin. So we've been involved in the Maiden energies for like about a week or so, I'm thinking, if I'm remembering when the full moon or when the new moon was. In fact, I can tell you, let's see, so May 4th, and today's the 10th. So yeah, it's been about a week since the Maiden energies have really started to move forward. So we'll back up here. Let's go ahead and kind of keep going. I know I kind of rolled into it, and we're going to begin. Even Mother Earth has a Maiden phase. So the Maiden phase, if it's with our bodies, whether we're talking about with the moon or with Mother Earth, it's all about new. It's all about like with Mother Earth, the Maiden is the hint of warmth, like when it's still maybe even winter outside. It's that first hint of warmth where you're like, spring is coming. Spring is here. It's going to be here. This is the increasing light as our days grow brighter for longer. Our days are longer, so to speak. And this is also what kind of starts to melt the snow and trigger deep within, still sometimes that frozen ground, those first sort of sprouts of seeds. So Mother Earth explores the Maiden energies every single year, annually. We get to explore it on a monthly basis, and so does the moon. So let's talk about what is this phase. when you talk about the maiden phase of your menstrual cycle, and I want to also actually give you, I always thought that your menstrual cycle started with the first day of your period. And maybe according to doctors or whatever who might ask you these questions, maybe it does. I don't know. But for the purposes of me learning and kind of working with these feminine energies, we start at the maiden because she's the young one. We have this whole evolution of feminine energies to go through, but we will begin at the maiden. And so the maiden is actually, it would be like if you said your whole period phase was a week long. I know sometimes our periods aren't actually a whole 7 days long, and sometimes they are, but it happens right there around day 7, 6 or 7 of your period. So that's the beginning. That's the first inklings of the maiden. So this would be, if we talk about the maiden energy being kind of like the incoming tide after a period of emptiness where the water is sort of sucked away after our period, the maiden energy comes in and starts to fill that space back up again. Okay, so we see that. I have to kind of keep where I'm going here. This is the first time I've taught this sort of class, this information. I'm just going off of some reading that I've done. So this is our pre-ovulation phase. I think I was talking about what's the technical term when we're talking about our monthly cycle, our menstrual cycle. And we're, again, the beginning of the menstrual cycle for us is our pre-ovulation phase. And so this is going to be a period of time where you start feeling the mating energies really slowly at first. Everything's sort of a trickle with women. We fade in and we fade out of these different energies as we welcome in the new ones. And every woman is different as well. Some may start to feel the Maiden Goddess energies a lot sooner. So it's very, very cool because regardless of our actual age, every single month, we all get to revisit the energies of a maiden. So let's talk about what those energies are. The energies of a maiden, she is, when you get down to it, she is like the warrior, the hunter, or the huntress, okay? She's young, she's ambitious, she's strong, she's ready to go, she's ready to tackle anything. She can generally stay awake longer, do more throughout the day. So after you come out of your period in that phase before, that PMSy portion before, and we won't get too much into it but you do have to talk about either cycle, either end, the crone, your period time, and also the mother, the ovulation time, because they kind of hold hands with the maiden, so to speak. And they support her. We all support each other. And that's why various women will be on various different cycles, even though the more time you spend with women, you'll sort of sync up together so that you can work within these energy archetypes more strongly together. A bunch of maidens together are going to get some shit done. So if you're all cycling that way, you're not competing with different energies. And so that's one of the reasons that I've come to understand that women cycle together. It's not so we can all have our periods and start getting bitchy at the same time or whatever. It's actually to help us work better together and also to experience, the times of the red tent, to have that experience together. I think that's what builds tribe. That's what builds that sort of feeling of tribe. So the maiden is the new fire. I'm looking at my notes here. She's the new fire that burns hot and bright. Okay, she's ready for action. I've already told you about the moon's maiden phase. The maiden, has the ability to think big and change the entire world. So with these ability to have grandiose thoughts, grandiose visions, this is a great time to start planning for your future. Like when I say that, I got a planner. It's like somewhere else, and I can't grab it right now. But I decided to wait. I got it, and I'm like, I want to start filling it out and doing the vision boards that are contained within the planner. My 5-year outlook and my 10-year, my lifetime, what I want to do. But I decided I was actually on my period then, and I decided, I'm gonna wait, because the crone, she is very soul-centered. We talk about the energies, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the perception shift that happens. So apparently we're talking about that right now, even though that's like not till later in my notes, but that's how channeling works. Okay, so the crone is very soul-centered. You're very soulful. You can go deeper. You kind of want to go into that hibernation phase. Maiden, her that sort of perception of how we deal with the events in our life and the world, that shifts. That shifts to, how does it put? It's more this, I don't want to say, it's like the mental... Yeah, mentally focused. So outward thinking, outworld thinking versus soul thinking, outer world thinking. This is how our perception shifts. So we're able to see the bigger picture. We're able to see the grand scheme of things. And we want to take on the challenge of setting down goals and being visionary with our lives. We're very optimistic when we're in the maiden phase of our life. We take bad news better. And in fact, sometimes it doesn't even turn out to feel like bad news because we have a different perception of it. We can think beyond what that actual experience is. And honestly, sometimes, they would say that they seem like that maiden phase, you're a little bit aloof, a little less emotionally attached to things, and that's true, but it's just because maidens have that energy of go with the flow, of playfulness, of lightheartedness, of being able to say, okay, this is happening, how, let's just deal with it. Let's not try to dissect it to say woe is me, to really become emotional about it. Let's just move forward from it. This is their ability as a maiden. So it's a great time to start new projects, great time for goal setting. It's actually a really great time to work solo because unless you have another group of women that you know are in the maiden phase together, because let's say you have a maiden and actually somebody who's going on their period right then and there, and they're trying to work on a project together, there's going to be some very different energies working it out. And the maiden may start to feel like she's taking on everything just because she has the ambition to. Not that she should, or that the woman that's going through the crone energy, it needs her to, for example, but it's just that the rhythm is going to be a little bit different between those two women. So this is why women tend to, maybe you get thrown together with a bunch of other girls and you can have energy disputes, arguments, cat fights, however it like matriculates into the real world. This is why these types of things happen, is because we're not actually in balance with each other. And when we're in harmony, things definitely work better. So let's talk about the sexual side of the maiden, because the topic wouldn't be, this topic would not at all be complete unless I started blushing a little bit. Maidens are, they're more energetic in bed. They're more sexually playful. If you were going to break out the book of sex positions or whatever and try something new or whatnot, this would be the time of the month to do it. Okay. It would be, and I would even say maybe this is a good time to talk about this, the maiden energies, they really get moving around day 6 or 7 of your menstrual cycle. Now, remember what I meant by that is our menstrual cycle, for the purposes of this, begins at the end of our period. So like, if you would say you have the start of your period, like 6 days after that day, we're usually hopefully around the end of our period by then, that's when you're going to start feeling the beginning of the maiden energy. So it's 6 days after that. Okay. So that's around 12 days after the start of your period. On average, you're well into the maiden energy. So you're really feeling it. Like I said, it's a great time to take action on new projects, to start working towards things that you really want to get done. You're full of self-confidence. Your sexual desires begin to rise. What else? I think more flirty, playfulness on high. It's a better time to have more pleasurable experiences with casual sex, let's say, things like that. So you're not going to be weirdly emotionally like attached to the situation. So if you're out there on Tinder and flipping through people, I've never done Tinder. I don't even know. Like, I have just pretty much been in relationships for the last 15 years of my life, just jumped from one to the next. So I'm not really sure how all that works. But this maiden phase, this is the time that you can kind of get out there and do those types of things. That you can do fun things with your mate, with your partner, with your spouse. Maybe tell them about it though, because you're shifting. quickly shifting out of this time where you were sort of hibernating on your period, and you say, hey, I want to try something new, and I was, and my energy work has told me that this is a great time to try it, so, let's try it. Since we're all women, most of the time we can present this to a man and they're all just going to get excited about it. They're just like, yes, let's do it. Like, I don't even know why she's asking, but let's do it. It's very alluring to try to carry the maiden energies through the rest of your menstrual cycle, through the different phases, because we go in next. As we hold hands with the crone on one side, we hold hands with the mother energies on the next. And this is the time when our projects and our energy towards those things tends to slow down, and it becomes a little bit more relationship focused. And so this is a better time to do group activities where, like, working within some individuals at work, for example, versus a better time to work on projects alone, which is the maiden phase. So if we try to push through with these intense energies, when normally we would be better at making that connection with other people, we're going to start to feel really drained. And it's almost like we're not allowing our emotions that type of expression that it needs. And so we're actually executing normal tasks with the use of double energy, because we're going against the flow of our normal bodies. And I never realized this stuff until really recently. And so along with you, I'm going to be experiencing, tracking, seeing what exactly I need to do to honor the maiden phase, what exactly I need to do to honor the mother phase. Now, as a mother all the time, I'm like in mom mode all the time, and a lot of you ladies might be as well. So it's very difficult to say you can do more momming. In fact, during that mothering time, it's actually a really good time to turn the mothering onto you. So we'll be talking about that a little bit next week or so when we're into the mother energies, right around the full moon time, actually. So we'll be talking about that a little bit. And I'm going to kind of like integrate that into our full moon ritual for this month as well. So that'll be kind of fun. We'll be able to talk about the mother. Oftentimes when we try to pull the maiden through into other cycles, other times of the month, we start to see her shadow sides. Okay. So where she's normally very self-confident and sure of herself, then that becomes egotistical and a little bit controlling. Your aloofness could go haywire, and you end up appearing and having a complete lack of empathy for others if you're a maiden who's kind of in the shadow side of that archetype. You can make hasty decisions. So if your energies are slowing down, and oftentimes, energetically speaking, because I'm like hearing this is not part of my notes. We're going to begin the channeling part of this live stream right now. So oftentimes, I'm hearing, let's get back to it. If you're in, that's right, I got it. Okay. So if you're in a different phase of the month, let's say you're in the enchantress phase or the wild wise woman phase, and you have a project or something come to you during that time, it's because you need to put on the eyeglasses of the wise woman and really look over that opportunity. Look it over, make sure it's right for you. Take some time to visualize yourself within that opportunity, to find out if it's right for you. Now, if you've decided to drag the maiden energies through when you really should be honoring the enchantress or the wise woman energies, you could make a hasty decision because you just want to make a fast decision because you feel overly self-confident, almost egotistical about your abilities to make these wonderful decisions, because honestly, you're riding on a high that kind of ended 2 weeks ago at this point. So we really do want to, you can have very scattered energy because of that. And so it's really nice to say, okay, I honor that. I honor that I got these projects started, and there might be some continuation of them through the next phases of my month or my cycle, however you want to say it. But it's time to put that energy burst away and evolve into the next archetype, the next goddess energy, which would be mother. So, Let's see if I'm missing anything. These weren't going to be very long because I want people to be able to just watch them and get some information. What should you do with this? Start actually setting yourself up to track it. So when you're in your maiden phase, how are you feeling? This is for me the phase that falls like right around the new moon, which is really cool. So I feel like I'm super synced, and there's a few women in this group. Karen's one of them. Anybody that just finished their period right before the new moon, okay, when the moon was shrinking down or emptying out, so to speak. That's that process of being super synced with the moon, and I want to try within this group to see how many can get super synced with the moon. And I know that you're probably not going to be able to have it happen as well if you're on any sort of chemical birth control, that kind of thing. We'll see about that. And then for those of you who are in menopause or aren't menstruating for any other reason, you're still, depending on your circumstance, there's still hormones. There's still a lot working with you. So it'll be interesting to see and for you to pay attention to how you feel over the course of a month. And so I'll give you guys in regular posts some ideas on how to do that. Having a journal and just kind of logging your energies every single day is a way to do it. I used to do this when I was training hard, putting my body through a lot of physical tasks. And I could see energetically how I did at work, because I worked in a commission place, like for tips or whatever service. And so I would track all that. And I don't know, I should have just added the moon to it, because I bet that would have really actually helped me out. But that was a few years before I realized the moon had something to do with my life. All right, I saw my husband text me, which means the babysitter is more than likely here. So I'm going to sign off with this live stream. Post your questions. I will keep going with all of this fun new information for you guys, so you can continue to track how you feel during your maiden phase. So just because I'm in my maiden phase right now doesn't mean you need to be, or that you're wrong not to be. That needs to come out. Every phase you're in is perfectly fine and wonderful, and it means something different. So you might be in a mother phase, or your enchantress phase, or your crone phase right now. That's okay. It was like the timing was perfect. I mean, I'm in my maiden phase. The moon's in her maiden phase. That's the beginning of the menstrual cycle as far as this education is all about. Since you're on, I specifically really do want you, and we'll see. I want to make a post and see. Let's see. There's one other gal that I'm thinking, Kim, her name is, and then one of my friends also that's in the group that's going through menopause as well. So I want to get you guys involved in finding out how this works for you, and maybe just paying attention to it for you, Teal. I'm hearing to tell you, just giving it the attention, since it feels scattered and you feel empty because your surgery was so recent. But just giving it the attention and saying, okay, I'm going to honor the fact that I am still controlled, influenced by the moon. So I'm going to go ahead and honor that by starting to pay attention to what the moon is doing and how I'm feeling. And it doesn't happen overnight or even over the course of a week. You can't tell anything because you haven't gone through one whole cycle. In fact, I think this is more of like you look at it like 3 months, 6 months, and you start to really evaluate it. And the more attention you give to it, just like dream recording, dream journaling and recording your dreams, the more you actively pay attention to doing it, the more you'll actually start to notice things. Or in the case of dreams, you'll start to remember your dreams. That's for another class. I got dreams on my mind too. So anyway, you guys have a good night. Take care.